on our YouTube channel. And I'll start out by saying thank y'all for being here. Good morning. It's a beautiful Wednesday here in Mississippi. It's a little chilly, um, but I like the cold weather, so I'm happy for it. I'm going to introduce Asia Hadley with Candid, and then I'll just give Asia the microphone. Let her take it away. And Asia, as we move through the slides, just send me a signal, whatever it is. Just say next or whatever, and I'll go ahead and move through. And people may trickle in as we go. So for those of you who don't know, Asia presented at our conference in October. So some of you might have seen Asia there. And if you didn't, Asia is with Candid. So Asia elevates Candid's presence and impact throughout the South by cultivating relationships with key stakeholders, fundraising regionally, and providing perspectives on philanthropy. For 15 years, she's dedicated her career to advancing an informed and equitable social sector. From 2002 to 2005, Asia worked in programs, volunteer recruitment, and development at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Indiana. Her fundraising efforts there helped raise over $600,000 for the agency. She spent the next 2 years in the private sector delivering diversity leadership training for high school and college students and recruiting people of color for positions in the social sector. And after honing her training skills in the private sector, Asia applied those skills as a training coordinator for Foundation Center from 2007 to 2013. She returned to Foundation Center in 2016 after a temporary leave to focus on her growing family. And then she held roles as virtual assistant and Atlanta lead, where she managed daily operations, focusing on community engagement, strategic alignment, training, and programming. Most recently, she's managed cross-functional collaboration for global matching funds projects for Habitat for Humanity International. Asia earned her undergraduate degree in political science from Florida A&M University and master's degrees in philanthropic studies and public affairs with a concentration in nonprofit management from Indiana University, Purdue, University of Indianapolis. Asia co-leads a Girl Scout troop and is an advisory board member with Pure Esperanza. She is a proud wife and mom of 2 young negotiators whose request for a puppy is currently pending. So we have a wonderful presenter today to share some information about Candid. So y'all welcome, Asia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I still snicker at the intro. I might have to update that bio because we are not getting a dog right now. So that request has been denied. So unless, I'm sure maybe some of you can talk me into it, give me some more pros instead of the cons when I really start thinking. Okay, so using data for good, and I want to be a little bit more specific here, using demographic data for good. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm so excited to be here today to talk about the work that Candid is doing in the social sector and how actually you are a part of it. So this is exciting, and I can't believe how excited I am about data, but I am. And so if you go ahead and advance the slide, I'll share just a little bit about Candid and how we came to be. In 2019, Foundation Center and GuideStar joined forces to become Candid. And as an organization, we hold over 88 years of experience in the sector. Foundation Center was heavy on all of the knowledge about foundations, and GuideStar brought the knowledge about the nonprofit sector. So it was really a natural fit that was a long time coming. And so glad that we were able to combine our efforts to become Candid. Next. So every year, millions of nonprofits spend trillions of dollars around the world, and Candid finds out where that money comes from, where it goes, and why it matters. Through research, collaboration, and training, Candid gets you the information you need to do good. Next slide. So when we talk about this information and who we are as an organization, we want to paint a bigger picture for you. I know that many of you may know Candid, but we have over 200 employees. We're headquartered in New York, and we have partnerships with over 400 plus libraries, community foundations, and nonprofit resource centers like the Mississippi Alliance. These are our partners that provide Candid's resources and really do their best to get you the latest uh, cutting edge information to enhance your nonprofit organization and foundation. Next. So, Candid, and we'll go ahead and move on from that one. Candid normally has audiences just all over the world. And in 2020 in particular, we were being asked some very tough questions. And we realized that we needed better answers to these pressing questions, such as who leads and works at nonprofits, who's being served by nonprofit organizations, and how are grants focused, targeted, or not, and which organizations are supported by philanthropy. We needed to know the answers to these questions. And in order to do this, we have to ask specific questions. The sector has to ask specific questions. And the questions that the sector wanted to know and are asking is who works at nonprofits. So that means that they need to ask us as Candid, and we need to turn around and ask the field, who's working at nonprofits? How do we collect this demographic data? And you'd be surprised at how many well, maybe you won't be surprised, but I was pretty surprised when I heard the number of demographic data surveys that our organization has to complete. Completed in 2022. And we have a pretty robust development team. But if you can imagine this type of workload spread across nonprofits across the country, how many nonprofit demographic data surveys do you think we had to complete in 2022? Just take a guess and just put it in the chat. And Michael, just let me know how many. A few answers that pop up. Just take a guess. How many demographic surveys would you guess? You can take a guess too. So I can't really see the chat. Okay, 10. Oh my, okay. Over 100. Okay, over 100. Yes, we're asked these questions over 100 times because funders are asking us when we complete our grant applications or upon receiving a grant, they want this information. And if you can imagine, they're asking these questions in different ways. Okay, so our small development team has to splice and dice this data and figure out how to answer their questions basically 100 different ways. Okay, so we know that there has to be a better way. Next slide. There has to be a better way. Okay, so on the one hand, 76% of foundation leaders said that they are changing reporting requirements to reduce the burden on grantees, meaning we know that organizations are drowning in paperwork. They are completing, reports. You are completing grant applications that are getting longer and longer or have a certain word count. Yet, on the other hand, 40% of foundation leaders said that they are increasing their demographic data collection, which means that they're asking these questions more and more. So, in the next slide, we have to figure out, a better way to collect this data because it places a heavy burden on nonprofits to report demographic data. But also the lack of having this data and information presents a challenge for the field because it doesn't inform our work. We can't make good decisions when we don't have quality demographic data in particular. So we have lack of data to inform our equity. So using what we already use, which is the Candid profile, we instituted Demographics via Candid is a campaign that collects demographic information from nonprofit organizations and funders as well, because we want to increase transparency in the field. In addition, we want to decrease the number of times that you have to share this information. So we're saying, whoa, hold up. We truly want to decrease the burden on nonprofits. And we're doing this by utilizing a tool that many of you already use anyway, which is the Candid profile. On the Candid profile, you can share your data one time in a standardized format. And this information is freely available through multiple channels. So this is an exciting initiative that allows us to help the sector, and particularly nonprofits, decrease the burden on completing all of this information, yet at the same time, allowing funders to get the information that they need. So the Candid profile, of course, it is free to for you all. It's free for everyone, and you have access to this information, and it allows you to share your story. We have over 200 plus charitable sites and partners that use the data that powers the Candid profile. So all organizations, they have a Candid profile, but you may not know that you even have it. So when we partner with organizations like the Mississippi Alliance, we're getting the word out. We're letting you know, hey, you have a Candid profile. We want you to use it. We want you to use it to input your demographic data, earn a seal of transparency, so that we can share with funders that the information that they're seeking is on the Candid profile. Over time, this will reduce the amount of questions that they need to ask you separately on their grant applications. So again, this is our effort to decrease the burden on nonprofits, increase transparency in the nonprofit sector. And in order to do this, we need to all work together to make this happen. So in the process, we know that, and actually I have a more updated statistic, over 60,000 organizations are sharing demographic data. So this is exciting. This number is constantly going up because we have partners, organizations all across the country that are promoting demographics via Candid and allowing organizations to use the Candid profile to update this information. So you may be wondering, okay, I input my information in the Candid profile. What does that look like? So this is exactly what you'll see when you go to your Candid profile and start inputting information as it relates to your demographic data. We collect data on race and ethnicity, and this data is collected on the leader, but it's also collected on staff and board, because in order to get a more holistic view of the sector, we want to better understand who's on staff, who are the leaders, and who's leading organizations via the board. So race and ethnicity, gender identity. We also look at sexual orientation and disability status. And when you input your information using the Candid profile, this is how it looks. It lets you know exactly how many board members are of a certain race and ethnicity, um, the makeup of their gender identity, as well as their sexual orientation and disability. Slide. And so this gives you kind of the full picture of the information that we collect. Yes, next slide. So how are demographics used? I mean, government, policymakers, businesses, human services, they use this data to better understand their organizations. We've been conducting additional research to find out exactly how funders are using this information as well. Some funders, they use it on the front end, meaning they include it in their application information. Some funders, they use it on the back end because they don't want organizations to think that if they're not, if they complete this information, it may disqualify them for funding if they don't have the quote unquote right makeup. And that is not the case. We want to make this as clear as possible. This is to enhance our understanding, to make better decisions, but it's not meant to take away from, what funders are already doing and take away from other nonprofit organizations. This will help us hopefully to expand the pool of recipients and those that qualify for funding. Next slide. So another aspect of collecting demographic information is how you collect it. A lot of organizations, they may use their own surveys, but they align their questions with candidates' demographic questions. When they do that, it allows us to compare apples to apples. So this is great. Some organizations are saying, we don't even want to collect this information ourselves. We want to tell organizations just go to the Candid profile, input your information there, and we'll go there and get the information. So they take themselves out of the equation totally. We meet organizations where they are. One thing that we want to make sure, though, is that when you're collecting this data from your team, don't guess. Okay, so we created a how-to guide on how to collect and share demographic data, because it's tricky these days. You don't want to guess, so we want you to ask. Let them know that it is for the Candid public profile, and make it clear that it's also voluntary and that for each section you can decline to state. So that is perfectly acceptable. That is always an option and important to communicate. Am I talking to you about this as a nonprofit organization? Why are we partnering with the Mississippi Alliance? It's because you are a part of this ecosystem. And as a part of the ecosystem, we cannot only think about our own nonprofit organization. Yes, our own nonprofit organization is very important, and we have some incentives for you because we understand the importance of that, what's in it for me. But we also want you to understand that as a part of this bigger ecosystem, and participating in it, you don't only help your organization, but you're benefiting the sector, which means that we're able to aggregate data to inform a fuller view of equity across the sector. It provides us with ways to find nonprofits that are reflective of communities that we serve. And it allows us to also benchmark organizations and identify gaps and track our progress. Because if we don't know where we are, if how can we determine where we need to go? So you are a part of the process. When you take time to contribute demographic data and input your information on your Candid profile, keep it updated, you are helping the entire sector. Right? So the benefits for you as a nonprofit. Okay, so you have to remember the big picture here. We're working to help decrease the burden on your end. Okay, so right now, you have to complete a lot of reports. You have to complete a lot of grant applications. You have to complete a lot of demographic data requests. Well, over time, the more information that's in the candidate profile, the more grant makers can turn to the profile and ask you fewer questions because everything that they need is basically already there. So that is a win, not only for your organization, but for grant makers as well. It will increase your visibility with funders. Again, this is another opportunity to share your impact and results in the community. It shows your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it strengthens the social sector through various insights. So in addition to benefiting you as a nonprofit, we have another initiative to benefit you as well, particularly if you are an organization that earns $1 million or less in annual revenue or expenses. We have the 2023 Gold Seal of Transparency, and we're going to have 2024 as well. We want you to take advantage of this because you can access Foundation Directory Essential for free for an entire year. What that means is that you have access from the comfort of your home of the Foundation Directory Essential database, which is a database that has over 100,000 funders, to find funders that would be a good fit with your organization. So as an incentive, if you earn a Gold Seal of Transparency, you qualify, if you have a budget of $1 million or less, to access that Foundation Directory Essential for free. So that's another incentive that we have within Candid to partner with smaller nonprofit organizations. It's our way to further get the word out and kind of level the playing field because we understand that smaller organizations may not have access, to the resources. You may not always be able to get to that particular resource at the Mississippi Alliance. So this is just another way, in addition to our partnership and the resources available to you through the Mississippi Alliance. We want you to take advantage of all these resources that you have at your disposal. So we know through third-party research that nonprofits that earned a seal of transparency average 53% more in contributions the following year than organizations with no seal. So hopefully this provides just another incentive to earn at least a gold seal of transparency. Why gold seal when we have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum? Let me explain. The bronze seal level allows you to input basic information about your organization, mainly information about where you're located and your mission. At the silver level, you provide a little bit more information about your organization, such as, your programs and services that you offer. At the gold level, that is where you start inputting demographic data. And this is demographic data just on the leader. So by inputting that information on your leader who's leading your nonprofit organization, it allows you to qualify for the gold seal of transparency. And again, you're contributing to the dearth of data we have for the candidate profile and for the sector. So in our next slide, this just gives you a bigger picture of kind of our partners. And we have over now 100 plus partners. And this is just a small a list of the first 100. We partner with foundations, technology providers, philanthropy serving organizations, and of course, nonprofit member organizations. So we're partnering with these organizations across the country, doing similar work to what I'm doing right now, reaching out to grantees and nonprofit that are members of associations to get out the word. So for more information on demographics via Candid, please feel free to reach out to asia.hadley@candid.org. I am going to provide some additional information to the team. You'll have access to this PowerPoint, presentation. They're going to download it for you um, as a PDF, so you'll have access to that. And we want you to share your stories with us. If you have already have a gold seal of transparency, or maybe you don't have a gold seal of transparency and you go through the process of getting it, let the Mississippi Alliance know. They may highlight you in one of their newsletters or shout you out on social media, and then they'll let us know, because we want to hear your story as well. And then also, when you collect data, say, for example, if you earn a platinum seal of transparency, which means that you're inputting demographic data, you're sharing your impact, you're telling your story, let us know how you use the Candid profile to elevate your organization in the community and how you have shared. So this portion concludes my direct portion, and I would like to spend a few moments opening up to questions that you may have, and then I'll see where we need to go next. I'll turn it back over to Michael for questions.
So we've got one from Trina Robinson. It says, just for clarification, Candid can be used as a resource to obtain demographic data?
Yes, we do have, you do have access to demographic data via the Candid profile. Depending on if you are an organization or an association, you're one of our partners, you have free access to the data. But as a nonprofit organization, we do have ways that you can access our demographic data as well. Question.
Anyone else, feel free to either drop questions in the chat, or you can come on the mic if you want to ask in person. You're welcome to.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. This is Trina Robinson again. Thank you for answering that for me. I work at St. Gabriel Mercy Center, and we are a nonprofit organization in Mississippi. And our organization is a member of the Mississippi Alliance, nonprofit alliance.
Yes.
So, kind of as a follow up, and just to make sure I understood something you said earlier too. How can St. Gabriel? I mean, you saying like if we, so let me ask you, okay, a scenario. If we're begin to start collecting data via surveys, and we want to kind of compile that information for use for grant purposes or something, is that something that your organization does as well? Or like you said, we go in and complete our profile, and then those answers from the surveys are entered?
Exactly. Now, the surveys that you're giving out, you're not giving out to your the people you're serving. It's internal for your organization. So
Yes.
you're inputting information for your let's see, information from your board, your leader, and your staff. So it's more internal versus external.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Okay,
Okay.
that works. Thank you.
But I do appreciate your question, is very important because what we're finding is that many organizations would love to have a way to collect more data about those that they're serving. Is that,
Yes,
am I?
that's,
Yes.
that's
And so
correct. Yes, ma'am.
yes, I'm going to continue to take this feedback back to Candid because I know that, we're working on enhancing the Candid profile, and that's probably next level, so we'll get there.
Great.
We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Very good questions. Very good questions. Okay.
Any other questions before we hop off? And if y'all have any follow-up questions that you didn't get to ask now, you can always send them to me by email and I can pass them along to Asia as well, or you can send them directly to Asia too.
I see, Arnita, I see your question. What steps do I take to add data to my existing profile? If you are the profile manager, you have a profile manager. So somebody in your organization has access to the email, an account. It's a free account. So make sure you get access from that person that's in your organization. And you can go into your profile, into your account, and it just says update. So you can update at any point, meaning it will let you know. It's kind of like a LinkedIn. It lets you know how much you have completed and whether or not you want to edit and change and update. So that is easy to do once you get access to your account. Okay. You're welcome, Arnita. Thank you for the question. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you having me on the call. Thank you so much. And if there are additional questions, feel free to just reach out to me. And I look forward to connecting with you and hearing your stories as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Like you just said, questions, just send them along. Right. And thank you for being here.
Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.